Unit 8, page 67. Read. Exercise 3. Read and listen to the text.
Wave power. This is a picture of Cumbre Vieja, a huge active volcano on La Palma, the steepest island in the world in the Canary Islands. Every few decades it erupts, and scientists are worried because the walls of the volcano are getting weaker. Scientists fear that when it erupts, an enormous chunk of the volcano could collapse and fall into the sea. If this happened, it would be a catastrophe. Why? Because it would unleash a giant wave, a tsunami, the biggest ever recorded in history. How would it happen? The volcano is by the sea, and the water next to the volcano is about 6 kilometers deep. If the volcano collapsed, a landslide of 500 billion tons of rock would fall into the sea. This would create a huge tsunami, about 100 meters high. What would happen next? The wave would travel away from the Canary Islands in all directions at about 800 kilometers an hour. The other Canary Islands would immediately be covered by water. In less than an hour, a 90-meter wave would flood northwest Africa. The side of the volcano faces west, across the Atlantic Ocean, which would protect Africa and Europe a little. However, a 12-meter tsunami would still crash against Lisbon within 3 hours, and after 5 hours, the tidal wave would reach Britain. The wave could travel a kilometer inland and devastate towns and villages. London would be flooded. How far would it travel? The wave would have enough energy to cross the entire Atlantic Ocean. 8 hours after the eruption, it would smash into the east coast of America. It would still be about 30 meters high. Boston would be hit first, followed by New York, then the coast down to Miami. The wave would create havoc in the Caribbean and Brazil too. It would travel for several kilometers inland because of the low coastline. It would flatten everything and kill thousands of people. What can we do about it? Nothing much, it seems. The scientists believe that it is not a question of if, but when. The volcano will collapse at some time in the future, but it could be hundreds or thousands of years from now. Furthermore, if only part of the volcano plunged into the sea, the tsunami would be much smaller. Scientists want to put better equipment on Cumbre Vieja so that they can predict the volcano's eruptions in the future and give us an early warning of possible problems. Although nobody could stop the tsunami, at least the authorities could then evacuate the towns and cities that would be in danger and save thousands of lives.
Unit 8, page 69. Grammar. Explore. Exercise 1. Listen and check. Daryl Hannah cares about the environment. Her car is very unusual because it doesn't use petrol. It uses vegetable oil, which produces very little carbon dioxide.
If all our cars used it, we wouldn't produce so much CO2. It's also renewable. We can grow it. If more people had cars like mine, the world's farmers would earn more money.
Unit 8, page 70. Vocabulary. Exercise 2. Listen and repeat.
Child labour. Disease. Endangered species. Famine. Floods and landslides. Global warming. Homelessness. Piracy. Pollution. Poverty. Racism.
Unit 8, page 70. Listen. Listen to the radio programs. 1.
The European lynx is a type of wild cat. These beautiful animals nearly became extinct in Europe over 100 years ago, but they were reintroduced in Switzerland in 1971, and there are now 200 in Poland. They eat rabbits and small deer.
2.
Nobody knows exactly how many homeless people there are in Britain, but we know that many of them are teenagers who have left home after a family argument or because their parents have divorced. They sleep in parks and on the streets.
3. Late last night, 2 young black men were attacked in South London. They were leaving a restaurant when 4 white men came up to them and asked for money. The police suspect a racist motive. 4.
It hasn't rained here for 2 years. The animals have all died, and it's impossible to grow crops. The people are all very hungry. If we don't get some food to this region soon, many people will die.
5.
Malaria is easy to prevent with drugs, yet each year it causes disease in approximately 515 million people and kills between 1 and 3 million people, the majority of whom are young children in sub-Saharan Africa.
6.
These football shirts are made in Bangladesh. The children that make them receive only $1 a day. That is why they are so cheap. But these children work very long hours in difficult conditions.
Unit 8, page 71. Grammar. Exploit. Exercise 3. Listen and check.
I'm here for the whole wide world to hear. Say I'm loud, say I'm clear for the whole wide world to hear.
Unit 8, page 73. Language skills. Exercise 1. Listen and check.
Do you know that the government wants to ban cars in the city centre at the weekends?
Well, in my opinion, it's a good idea. I'm convinced everyone should use a bicycle.
You're not serious, are you? What about elderly people? Are you going to make them cycle?
That's true. But we have to do something. Cars are polluting our cities.
As I see it, the first thing I'd do is make buses cheaper.
Well, in my opinion, public transport should be free.
Free? Who would pay for the buses and the bus drivers?
Well, with less traffic, the government wouldn't have to spend so much money on repairing the roads.
That's true. The money they would save from the repairs could be spent on the buses.
Exactly. Don't you think it's a good idea?
It's not bad. Who told you about it?
Nobody did. It's mine.
Everyday English 8. Teacher's Book. Page 116. Giving advice. Exercise 1. Listen and check.
Can I ask your advice about something?
Sure. What's the problem?
I lent £20 to Joe last week and he hasn't paid me back. I think he's forgotten about it.
I think you should ask him to pay you back.
Yes, but it's embarrassing. He might get upset.
If I were you, I'd say, I'm a bit short of money, Joe. When do you think you could pay back the £20 you borrowed last week? He shouldn't get upset at that.
OK. Thanks. That's a good idea.
Everyday English. 8. Teacher's Book. Page 116. Giving advice. Exercises 4 and 5. Listen to the dialogue.
Hello, Will.
Hi, Sally. Can I ask your advice about something?
Sure. What is it?
My parents won't let me stay out after 9 o'clock in the evening. All my friends can stay out till about 10.
Why won't they let you stay out?
Well, one day last week, I got home very late because I missed the last bus. It was nearly midnight and they were very cross because I didn't ring them or answer my mobile.
Did you apologise?
They didn't give me a chance. We just got into a big argument.
If I were you, I'd say sorry for being late last week and tell them you'll make sure you're always back before 10.
OK, I'll give it a try.
Everyday English. 8. Teacher's Book. Page 116. Giving advice. Exercise 6. Listen and repeat.
I think you should.
I think you ought to.
If I were you, I would.
If I were you, I wouldn't.
Why don't you?
I don't think you should.
I don't think you ought to.
In my opinion, you shouldn't.
Literature Corner. 4. Page 74. Exercise 2. Read and listen.
The 39 Steps by John Buchan. I came into a village and I saw a policeman standing outside the post office and reading something carefully. He looked up at the car and stepped into the road and held up a hand to stop me. I almost did stop, but then I realized that the policeman had been reading about me. I suppose the police at the hotel had worked quickly and contacted all the local villages. I drove faster. The policeman jumped out of my way, and I was soon out of the village. I left the main road as soon as possible and tried a smaller one. It was not easy without a map, and I realized that I had been stupid to steal the car. It would help the police and the Black Stone to find me in any corner of Scotland. If I left it and went off on foot, they would find me in an hour or two. I took a road that went along a narrow valley and then up onto the moor again. I was very hungry. I had eaten nothing since morning. And now, as I drove, I heard a noise in the sky. And there was a plane. On the moor, it would see me in a minute. I drove as fast as I could down into another valley and towards a wood. Suddenly, a car appeared in front of me from a side road. There was no time to stop. I did the only thing possible and drove off the road into a hedge, hoping to hit something soft beyond. But I was out of luck. The car went through the hedge like a knife through butter, and immediately began to fall. I jumped out and was caught by the branch of a tree, while the car disappeared into a river 15 metres below. A hand helped me out of the tree, and a frightened voice asked me if I was badly hurt. The speaker was a young man who was very alarmed and very sorry. I was more pleased than angry. It was a good way for the car to disappear.
Skills Roundup, page 75. Listen. Exercises 1 and 2. Listen and check. 1.
The answer is C. Plastic bags can take up to 1,000 years to decompose. When we go shopping, we should take a bag with us.
2.
The answer is A. The ozone layer stops ultraviolet light from the sun. It's between 15 and 17 kilometres above the surface of the Earth.
3.
The answer is C. About 90% of the world's energy comes from oil, coal and gas. One problem is that they are not renewable. They will eventually run out. Another problem is that when we burn them, they cause global warming.
4.
The answer is B. At the moment, the EU only recycles about 45% of its rubbish. It wants to recycle between 50 and 80% of its waste.
5.
The answer is D, all of them. More than 400 pesticides are regularly used in non-organic farming. The pesticides can kill wild animals and birds, and also cause water pollution.